Right after the start of 2026, Trump has been taking big actions in the whole world. But on January 12th, the President of America said something so controversial that nobody could ever imagine.
We need Greenland for national security and even international security, and we're working with everybody involved to try and get it. But we need it really for international world security, and I think we're going to get it. One way or the other, we're going to get it.
He made a massive statement saying that he will acquire the whole of Greenland one way or the other, and this single statement put the whole world on edge. The biggest allies of America were now preparing to become enemies. Denmark was not ready to sell their land, and France, UK, Germany, and many other countries sent troops to defend the Danish land. And even though things have gotten a little bit cooler right now, the question still remains: what is going to happen within a few months in Greenland? What will happen if Greenland actually gets invaded by Trump? Will Trump survive the backlash, or will it cause another global conflict? Before thinking about Trump's involvement, let's set the stage for you to understand. Greenland is the world's largest island, located between the Arctic and the North Atlantic. Strategically, it is one of the most important places to have a position, if not the most important position. It's the shortest route between North America and Europe, making it extremely important for American defense and missile detection systems. But the usefulness of Greenland is much, much more than that, because they are full of rare earth minerals, which has been really under Trump's notice for a few years now. Greenland holds an estimated 36 million tons of rare earths, including neodymium and dysprosium, essential for manufacturing electric car batteries, wind turbines, and military equipment. It also possesses germanium and gallium, critical for semiconductors. Here's the kicker: China currently controls around 98% of gallium supplies and 90% of global rare earth refining, giving them massive leverage over supply chains. And although the recent crisis is unfolding in 2026, the first time Mr. President publicly put Greenland into the U.S. interest was back in 2019. During his first presidency, Trump pushed the idea of buying Greenland from Denmark. But obviously this idea was completely rejected without anybody taking this seriously. Denmark's president called the idea completely absurd and funny. And one of the lawmakers even said this publicly to Trump.
Dear President Trump, listen very carefully. Greenland have been part of the Danish kingdom for 800 years. It's an integrated part of our country. It is not for sale. Let me put it in words you might understand. Mr. Trump, f*** off.
But here's something most people don't know. The United States has been discussing obtaining Greenland since 1867. The U.S. secretly offered to buy it in 1946 but was rejected. So this isn't new at all. America has been eyeing Greenland for over 150 years. In fact, Trump's interest in Greenland in 2019 was tied to strategic reasons, because getting this land would give America a huge advantage for controlling the entire Arctic. And even though Trump is saying this right now that Russia and China want to invade Greenland to take a position that checks America's interests, but everybody knows that's not the real reason. As getting this huge piece of land would put America way further ahead of every other country in the world. They would not just have a strategic advantage, but also have a huge economical head start. And this was in fact the first public discussion of buying Greenland and maybe planning an invasion, which we are not sure of, but we definitely have a hint of it happening. Fast forward to 2025 after Trump regained power. That stance of taking Greenland was being talked openly as a U.S. national interest. By the start of 2025, Trump and his aides said a few crucial words. They said that the U.S. should have ownership or control of Greenland as a strategic necessity. His allies, like Senator Marco Rubio, emphasized this view as serious, stating that Trump's interest in Greenland was not a joke and tied to national security. This mentality marked a shift from a concept floated in 2019 to a renewed priority in U.S. foreign policy. But they were all just random talks, and the real escalation was in this year when he made the craziest statement of the year that drew the whole world's attention. He said this during a public address implying the U.S. would acquire Greenland one way or the other, which Danish leaders found totally offensive and alarming. On January 7, 2026, Trump told the New York Times he doesn't need international law to guide his decisions. Then on January 9th, he told reporters, "We are going to do something on Greenland whether they like it or not." On January 13, 2026, the prime ministers of Greenland and Denmark said Greenland was facing an unacceptable pressure campaign caused by the U.S. They emphasized, Greenland is not for sale. All these tensions caused massive protests across Greenland. Large riots against U.S. interference took place, And this surely provides enough proof that the Greenlanders and Danish people do not want America to go acquire that place. Opinion polls showed 85% of Greenlanders oppose an American takeover, but Trump was not someone to quit that easily, and for that reason, Trump's relations with NATO and other European countries have been seriously deteriorating. Even though he says that taking that land is important to deter Russia and China, but nobody is actually buying that story. But that's not really the main concern. The main thing to think about is, can US actually invade Greenland, and will that be a successful story? If you ask me, USA definitely can invade Greenland any day without much backlash. We do not know what can happen and what cannot, because in geopolitics and global affairs, anything can happen overnight. Planned things sometimes do not work out, and unplanned stuffs pop out of nowhere, but it is very possible for USA to take that action. But we also have to remember the native is not going to let it slide that easily. They will definitely try to do some name-only defense, but that will not be of much help. Because at the end of the day, we all know NATO will not actually use their entire forces to defend Greenland, and it might sound bad, but America will very easily do this without actually much problem. But the kind of decisions is not going to come without any backlash, because already America's decisions over global politics in the last year has caused a great advantage in China's economy and trades. Other countries are saying China as a more stable and predictable trading partner rather than USA. And maybe not now, and maybe not even the next few years, but if USA keep taking these risky actions that does not even leave their allies, then things are going to get bad. Because America has already put 100% tariff on Canada, the biggest friend of America. And the reason for it is rather childish than dumb. Because of Canada making a trade deal with China. Now many people are saying that because of America's actions right now, NATO can be dissolved. But this statement cannot completely be proved. Because another huge enemy of NATO is Russia, who is just beside their doorstep, and Russia definitely wants America to dissolve NATO as soon as possible. Now, another thing that can happen is a military defense pact can be formed within the Europe-only countries to just defend against Russia. And in this pact, America may not be involved. We also know that America is voluntarily trying to reduce its deployment in NATO, and they are trying to focus on their own country. And maybe not now, but very soon we may be able to see a resolution of NATO. But that's not really the main concern. Because the world is heading to a huge geopolitical conflict, and every small problems like this give its way to a major breakthrough, and maybe not now, but aggressive actions like this mainly to a big war in the whole world. And I'm closely observing the situation, and I will bring updates for you all as soon as I learn about any situations.